It was a fuel mileage race from the green to checkered flag, but it's Bubba Wallace capitalizing and breaking his 100 race winless streak. Let's break down NASCAR's 2025 Brickyard 400. Hello everybody, welcome to Dirty Air. I'm your host Alex Lambert, and let's break down NASCAR at Indianapolis, the Brickyard 400. It was a strategic fuel mileage race all day long. Big, huge win for Bubba Wallace, locking him into the NASCAR playoffs, and a big win for him with all the pressure he's been under the last few seasons to make the playoffs and improve and put up results at 23XI Racing. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the playoff grid. We'll talk about the top 10. We'll dissect everything. But let's break down NASCAR at the Brickyard 400, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the most famous racetrack in the world, most likely. Indianapolis. It's a big venue, a big race for NASCAR, one of NASCAR's 4 crown jewel events, and it goes to Bubba Wallace today. And what a race, I have to say. You know, I don't know if fans really appreciated this race as much as I did. I know some fans like the strategic races, like, you know, even Pocono earlier this year could have been an example of one, but there's just not a lot of passing at Indy, and it's been like that for decades. I mean, I think every Indianapolis race we go to, every Brickyard 400 race that we've run, is not typically a whole lot of passing, but it is very, you know, key dependent on pit road strategy. It's typically the name of the game in Indianapolis, even back in, you know, before the new car that we have now, even when we first started going to this racetrack. But I was into it the whole day. I was looking at, you know, NASCAR.com, when did everybody last pit? I was really into this race for some reason today. And I was like, oh, lap 116, we're in the fuel window. And it was fun to watch to the end. And it was a close fuel mileage race. It was Joey Logano looked to be in the right position with 26 laps to go, but ultimately a tire goes down for Joey Logano in the 22 car. He's going for his second win of the year. And I was talking about it last week, a boost of momentum to show that you can win a championship in this summer stretch, show that you're still relevant. It just doesn't come to show for Joey Logano today, unfortunately, with that flat tire. Gets caught up in a wreck later on. But Bubba Wallace is able to take the lead. He's sitting in second when Logano has the flat, and Bubba Wallace is able to coast all the way to 6 laps to go, and then we get the caution. The caution for rain in one of the turns. It was in turn 1. NASCAR to drive the racetrack. What is up with rain in the last 15 laps of a race the last few weeks? That's certainly been a little bit frustrating. Had to red flag for a little while. But Bubba Wallace ultimately is able to hold off Kyle Larson on 2 restarts. Bubba Wallace takes the inside. You see Kyle Larson in the blue number 5 car on the outside, and he's able to hold him off on both of the final restarts. And once again, that top lane, just so difficult to be able to go around a driver at this racetrack on that top lane, especially with no rubber being put down, you know, all that being washed off from the rain on those last 2 restarts. But major win for Bubba Wallace. I think the caution, if we look at Bubba Wallace himself, just winning off of how he won, you know, coming with 6 to go, staying in the right mindset, having to hold off Kyle Larson in the last 2 restarts. I think that makes this win even more impressive than it was going to be originally, but this is a huge win for Bubba Wallace. 3rd career win. You go back to Talladega 2021, one here at Kansas in 2022, and then finally gets back to victory lane in 2025 at the Brickyard 400. You talk about Bubba Wallace with pressure, right? I think this driver does have a lot of pressure. I think he lets some haters get into his mind a little bit, or at least used to. If I'm him, I don't want to pay attention to any of that stuff. I want to, you know, kind of do the Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin, you know, sort of play with it, if anything else. I don't want that to get to me. But the pressure of Tyler Reddick and other drivers in the minor leagues, and this team putting in so much effort, and Tyler Reddick going out there making the Final Four last year, Bubba Wallace not making the playoffs or being a bubble driver every single season. He puts that pressure on himself, and rightfully so. That is definitely, you want to be able to perform when your teammates making championship races, winning multiple races in a season. Not particularly this year, but previously Reddick's won multiple races this year. That puts pressure on the other team, on the other driver to win races, and well, they got a big one today with the Brickyard 400. That will relieve a lot of pressure. I think Bubba's gotten to where he's handled things, the high pressure situations, a little bit better. He's had to been coached a little bit through that in his younger days, and then of course even in the last few years, but a big Brickyard 400 win is big, and now that he's at the high of winning the Brickyard 400, I don't want him to get back low, right? You got to make sure you can keep this going, right? You want to be consistent. You want to be able to go through the playoffs, and when something goes wrong, you don't want it to be too low, right? You know, you always hear in NASCAR from crew chiefs, other drivers, the highs are high, the lows are low. You don't want that to get to you, so we'll see how Bubba Wallace does moving forward. A big win today for the 23 team. Punches their ticket in the playoffs. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let's go through the top 10, right? Talked about Bubba Wallace getting the win. Kyle Larson, nice second place finish. 2 top 5s in a row for Larson. It was a rough few weeks before that, but Larson, that raw speed that we talked about that we sort of lost, summer slump kind of for Kyle Larson, seems to be back. If I look at the last 4 or 5 years, Kyle Larson's been the fastest race car. That 5 team's been the fastest race car on raw speed every single race. That is typically the fastest car on raw speed. Kyle Larson seems to be back to that after, maybe 5, 6, 7 weeks slump after the Charlotte Coca-Cola 600. Denny Hamlin, nice third place finish. Another one's guys. Look, I was talking about these guys winning the race. Only they got beat by Bubba Wallace today, but both of those guys had solid runs as well today. Those are the top tier drivers right now. Bubba Wallace, big Brickyard 400 win. That's going to help him turn his season around. Shows that he can make the playoffs and could potentially go deep in the playoffs. But I look at Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin as some championship favorites. I have to continue to watch Ryan Preece on the playoff cut line bubble as well. Nice 4th place today. Brad Keselowski 5th. Nice run for the RFK Fords. And that's a big run for Brad Keselowski, right? It's been a rough season. Nothing went wrong today to finish in the top 5. He's had more speed than he's had results. You have Todd Gilliland finishing 6th, Ryan Blaney finishing 7th. Certainly some interesting strategy calls at the end, but a nice 7th place finish for the driver. The number 12, Christopher Bell, able to finish in the 8th position. Alex Bowman, a nice top 10 for Bowman. Carson Hocevar, able to capitalize, finish a race today. Wasn't the best day for Carson, I would say, but was able to get a nice, solid top 10. No massive mistakes, no big pit road mistakes, no crashes, no big incidents for Hocevar today. A nice 10th place finish. Take that and run with it for sure. Let's talk about the points, right? Let's first take a quick look at the regular season points. Chase Elliott, it's still close. William Byron ran out of gas today on the final lap of the race, and that was disastrous. That took him out of the top 10, and unfortunately for William Byron, is probably the reason, well, not probably, is the reason he lost the regular season points lead today, or does not have it, didn't get it back from Chase Elliott. So 4 points back now. This is close, and this is big. Once again, you look on the far left, 15, 10, 8. Those are the amount of bonus points you would get per round in the NASCAR playoffs. So it could equal 45 points if you make it all the way to the 3rd round. So certainly we have to continue to watch that moving forward. These points continue to shuffle up. You see Tyler Reddick without a win there in the 6th position. Let's take a look at the playoff grid, right? So this is who gets in, who doesn't get in. You see, once again, now 13 different winners. So a lot of different winners this season, which we've seen a little bit more over the next few years. 2022 was certainly a whole lot of race winners. Then you had 2023, 2024 backed off a little bit. Seems like we're getting a lot of race winners again this season. But I'm still going to say Tyler Reddick's in. It's close, but I think Reddick will be safe. I just don't see 3 winners to knock Reddick out. If we get 3 more winners, which we probably won't, Tyler Reddick would probably be one of those. His teammate won today, right? And certainly Reddick was having a better day today. He probably had a top 10 car, but got caught up in some late race issues. I do want to mention that as well. But once again, Reddick 138 in. I mean, the only thing that could knock him out at this point is just so many different winners, and he's underperforming. So we'll continue to watch it, but I do think Reddick is going to make it, and that would put 2 of the 3 2311 Toyotas in the playoffs. Alex Bowman 63 above, Chris Buescher 42. So now I'm not really looking at a points battle entirely now at this point. I'm looking at the battle between 15th and 16th, because very realistically, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Carson Hocevar could, I mean, it's unlikely at this point in the season, but could, or anybody at Daytona, even in the the regular season finale, could win a race and the cut line moves up 1, right? It kind of moved a little bit today, but not, the cut line didn't move up because Bubba Wallace was on the plus side of it. So not a disastrous day for these guys, but 42 points above. I'm looking more of the 63 to 42 difference, right? What is that, like less than 20 points or 21 point difference there? That's what I want to watch at this point in the year. If I'm Ryan Preece, maybe Kyle Busch, all those guys below 17th, could you point your way in? Maybe it's mathematically possible, but you certainly have to approach it as a must-win situation at this point in the season. So want to continue to watch that moving forward. It's going to be interesting to watch. We'll keep an eye on these points as they continue to move forward. But we could get new winners, right? You look at the races coming up. Iowa, certainly we'll see what happens there. I look at Watkins Glen, a road course. Richmond, Austin Dillon won Richmond a year ago. And then, of course, we have Daytona, the big race, Daytona, to end out the regular season. We did have some issues with some drivers today to talk about. Ross Chastain, unfortunately, was caught up in a crash only 18 laps into the race. It was a rough day for Ross Chastain. Didn't really get to show anything. Rough weekend overall for Ross Chastain and the one Trackhouse team. Just did not show a lot of speed in practice or qualifying. Didn't qualify well. Practice was canceled, didn't qualify well, and then got caught up in the wreck early with Michael McDowell. That was certainly unfortunate for that team. Austin Cindric seemed to be having a solid day going today as well. Looked like he was on the right side of the strategy. Could have had a top 10 day going. There was a lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda today, but a flat tire, unfortunately, for Austin Cindric while leading the cycle was unfortunate for him. Took him out of contention for any sort of win. And then, of course, Eric Jones caught up in a crash. John Hunter Nemechek caught up in a crash. Rough day for the Legacy Motor Club Toyotas. They've sort of turned their year around, Legacy Motor Club, or turned their program around. They've been getting better results this season than they have the previous couple of seasons. Well, today it just didn't show up. They just didn't get those results today, but a lot more raw speed for Legacy Motor Club. Wanted to, highlight a few drivers today that did not have good results. That's probably should have finished a little better than they did. But that's it. All there is to dissect following the Brickyard 400. Please like and subscribe if you like the video. And, of course, about Kyle Busch unfortunately having a rough day, now in a must-win to make the playoffs. Let's get rowdy.